Hi everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So I've made it back out to the woods again today, just in check of any autumn colours in the trees and in the leaves, etc. Yeah, searching around for compositions. It's really tricky to capture images within the woods because of obviously the chaotic scenes that it can be created. But hopefully today, as we're in sort of mid-October now, autumn colours are starting to be produced a lot more, and I can isolate some of the images and some of the compositions that are on offer today. So I hope you enjoyed the vlog today. Let's go. So, having a good search around here, walking around the woods, I've come up on this little bit of an elevation here, looking back over to the main woodland area, and come across a couple of compositions using the long lens. Because I've got that elevation, I'm able to use the reach of the long lens to pick out some of the tops of the trees where they're changing that lovely autumn colours. So I've got the camera set up on about sort of 90 to 100mm on the 70 to 300mm lens, and got a base image of f11 ISO 200 and 100th of a second base image, and I'm bracketing the image 2 stops either side because of the cloud cover that we've got today. It's very overcast, but it's broken, and the sun's obviously shining through every so often and illuminating the tops of the trees, which is where the image is at. So using the reach of the lens, what I've been able to do is there's 3 trees that are really turning that lovely sort of yellowy colour this time of year, and roughly placing 2 of the trees on the rule of thirds, and then the 3rd tree right in the centre of the image, but that's right at the background as well. And again, obviously why I wanted to bracket the image as well is I want to retain some of the detail in the sky. The second issue that I've got, and the challenge that I've got with this composition, and why I raised up the ISO as well, is to get a slightly faster shutter speed because it's very gusty today, and because of that, obviously the leaves and the branches on the tree are going to be swaying around as well, so it's trying to freeze that as fast as I can, but also exposing as well for both the shadows and the highlights. So hopefully, yeah, until I get back to the computer, I'm not too sure about this one. It's going to be sort of needing to have a look on that full screen on the computer, edit it in obviously Photoshop, and yeah, process the raw image to work out really if this is a goer or not. But at least I've captured one of these images. To find some of the autumn colours lower down, yeah, a little bit of a tricky one that is. However, yeah, at least I've got the zoom lens in my bag, so I can able to pick out this image, so working out really interesting. last image. A little bit of a complicated setup for that one, I think, because I'm on a bit of a bank here leading down the hill, having to splay the legs of the tripod to get that level base and set up. So as you can see over my shoulder here, so I've got one of the trees here that's turned the autumn colours compared to the green trees that are around it. So really isolate that image. And what I'm trying to do with the composition, with one of the banks here, there's a bit more of a rough grass in the foreground. So I'm creating that and putting that down in the bottom right hand corner of the image and leading up through to the actual tree, and then obviously across with the actual tree line as well, making sure that I place the tree that's obviously turned the autumn colours on that left hand rule of thirds. So hopefully composition wise that's working out a little bit better than just a standalone sort of direct point and shoot sort of portrait image of the tree itself, because I've been looking around this tree. I noticed it when I was walking away from the car park. Really stands out across the background, which is really what I wanted. It's those types of images, that's that little bit of focal interest in the actual image is what you actually want. This tree is actually providing it. It's just making sure I work the composition to compose that image and make sure it's obviously going to be pronounced within the actual composition overall, and hopefully this is the one that's actually going to work that little bit better. The other good thing as well, literally while I was working on that composition, I've noticed another one over my shoulder as well. So yeah, when you end up with one location and two compositions, works out really well. So let's go and get that one now. So again, working out to be a really interesting composition. What I've actually got for the composition on this one is framing it up so the fence line with one of the gates there that's in the bottom right hand corner of the image, and as that's sort of running through over towards the left, and then the trees are then coming back round at a diagonal back up to the top right. So framing up the image with a little bit of sky left in it as well, and again sort of bracketing the image because of that dynamic range between the foreground and the background of the sky as well. So I've got the image set up on f7.1 ISO 100 and a base image of 160th of a second, and bracketing 2 stops either side. So settings wise exactly the same as the composition as you can see just over my shoulder, but this one working out really interesting. Focal point, making sure that I've got one of the trees here that obviously got that yellowy colour of the leaves. I believe it may even be one of the trees that I took in my image that I used the long lens for, so quite ironic that I've got that little bit second composition with the same tree involved in it. But yeah, really liking this one as the sort of sweep of the land. Only thing that would make it that little bit better is if there would be more sort of autumn colours within that bank of trees. But yeah, you can't really have everything, can you? But location wise, really interesting to come out to see today. So as it starts to rain, it's going to be obviously calling an end to my actual photo shoot here today. It's yeah, again, an obviously really frustrating time of year, but a really great time of year to be a photographer. It's lovely to pick out the detail and the colours within the trees, because you don't obviously get that at any other time of year, but you never know when it's going to happen. It might happen and then it's just going to be over in a blink of an eye. But it's that sort of perseverance, coming out as regularly as I can to these locations to see how it's developing within the trees and the bushes, etc., around these locations, to then obviously hopefully capture those images when obviously the colours turn. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it today, exploring a little bit of a different area of the woods here, but again, obviously really interesting and great exercise to be out, regardless of obviously whether or not I've captured an image. Luckily enough, 3 images or 3 compositions, working out really well. So I hope you enjoyed today's vlog. Yeah, a couple of different images that I may well have captured today compared to what I might have done if there was more autumn colours around. But it's not being put off. That's the main thing about these trips that I come out to. Don't be put off. Look at what's there, capture what's there, and then when the colours and when the autumn colours produce, I'm able to then come back out and capture those images. But hopefully you've enjoyed the vlog today. If you have, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. Also leave us a comment, as I really enjoy those comments. But thanks a lot for watching, and take care.